Hey guys, what's going on? Today I want to tell you about the hottest online celebrity in China right now, a Tibetan cowboy in Sichuan. Let's first check out a short clip. I've made the English subtitles bigger.
我是Dingzhen，我今年20岁，我的家在四川甘孜州理塘县，就住在概念雪山脚下。在我们村庄，每天推开门就能看见概念雪山。大部分时间，我就和弟弟一起放牛。
So how was it? So the Chinese netizens have invented a two-character adjective called 田野 to describe the 19-year-old Tibetan cowboy. So this 田野 is actually a hybrid of cute and crude, both in a good way. So this 19-year-old Tibetan cowboy, hold on, I shouldn't really say cowboy because the cattle that he pastures are yaks. So yak is very similar to cow, but they only live in cold and high altitude environment like Tibet. So Dingzhen should really be a yak boy, not a cowboy. So let's just go with his name, Dingzhen. How did Dingzhen become ridiculously famous? So a photographer found Dingzhen in Litang, Sichuan. So let's get some confusion out of the way first. Some of you might know Sichuan is a major province in Western China known for its spicy food, but it is also home to over 1 million ethnic Tibetan people with 2 Tibetan autonomous prefectures and 1 autonomous county. And Ganzi is one of the 2 prefectures. And Litang, where Dingzhen was born and raised, is a county in Ganzi prefecture. So the photographer took a video of Dingzhen, posted to Douyin, which is a Chinese TikTok. And that Douyin clip went viral immediately because it is first time that people see how cute and crude he is. And that video was shared to Weibo, which is Chinese Twitter. And then Dingzhen now takes several trending topics every day. Then the photographer invited Dingzhen to his live stream on the Chinese TikTok. That went viral again because that was the first time that people see Dingzhen in action. And rumors emerged that Dingzhen is entering a talent show or something similar. And people were very worried that entertainment industry or capital would pollute or even destroy him as they did to many fleeting online celebrities in the past. To their joy though, a local tourism agency in Dingzhen's hometown now signed a labor contract and an endorsement contract, which means Dingzhen now has a salary and company-sponsored insurance and a 401k. Because that agency is a state-owned company, that job is very secure and stable. The online income from future TikTok videos, for example, still belongs to Dingzhen. Because that local tourism agency is a legit company, so they hired photographers crew to shoot a promotional tourism video with Dingzhen. And you've actually watched part of that video in the beginning. And I'll put the link to the full video in the description. Very recently, Dingzhen was mentioned in the CCTV news reporting. So AKA, he's now endorsed by the government-owned broadcaster. Now I just want to talk about 3 observations from this incident. First one is non-Tibetan Chinese have genuine goodwills towards ethnic Tibetan people. Apparently a lot of people found out there are Tibetans just like Dingzhen living in Sichuan. They previously thought Tibetans would only live in the Tibetan Autonomous Region proper. Most of the people understand that Tibetans have their own way of living for centuries, and a lot of them want to be left alone. That's why many people don't want Dingzhen to enter the entertainment industry, or they don't want Tibetans' life be disturbed by whatever economic or development needs. Actually, I've traveled in that part of the country, so the Tibetan Sichuan, right? So before my trip, I was actually advised to bring pencils or pens along with me because when Tibetan kids ask tourists for cash or candies, which is really a shame, we instead should give them pencils or pens because it is really education that can lift up their life as a whole. And I've heard people talk about that a lot, and I know many people definitely include pencils or pens in their luggage before their trip to Tibet. The second observation is there's really strong demand for domestic travel within China. As you might know, China has been almost COVID-free for quite a few months now, and people can't travel outside of the country. So people are really eyeing domestic destinations for traveling. And Tibet has always been a popular destination for domestic travels, not just because of its sceneries, landscapes, but also unique culture. But many people are also deterred because of the high altitude and inclement weather. This time, this interest got totally blown up by the emergence of Dingzhen. We've seen both hotel and airline booking increasing dramatically compared to the same period last year. That could be attributed to the increase of domestic traveling demand, of course, but Dingzhen's recent popularity definitely contributes to most of it. And last but not least, I would like to talk about the depovertization national strategy. As you might know, the Chinese government has been working on lifting people out of poverty for quite a few decades now. Now we're in 2020, there are still quite a few regions that have poverty issue, which includes ethnic minority concentrated areas like Dingzhen's hometown. Usually CCTV or the government-owned broadcaster in Beijing wouldn't really comment on online celebrities, but this time, endorsing Dingzhen would actually help advocate for the depovertization cause. So why not? Okay, as things are still developing, that's all I can talk about at the moment, but I'm super interested in Tibet, and this definitely won't be my last video about Tibet. Here I just want to give my best wishes to Dingzhen and then best wishes to Tibetan people. I'll see you in the next episode. If you like this video, give me a like and subscribe.